So let's start talking a little bit about this next series that we're about to see. This is, of course, going to be Longzhu Gaming, which is our Korean team, and they'll be going up against Panda Global, the North American team. Talking a little bit about Longzhu Gaming, you may not recognize some of these guys because they're from Korea. They don't get as much exposure on the English broadcast typically, but you have seen them before, I promise you. This is Vitdubu, Shipit, and Shotki. And here's the real sad thing about this team, I guess, is normally they have Coding as their healer. Coding, unfortunately, was not able to make it, so they're now playing as a 3-player team, and they lost their healer, which is really, really tough to actually deal with. However, these guys, they're not giving up at all. They've actually been practicing like crazy, learning new comps, learning new specs, just to be able to continue to compete here. Do you guys... Like, that's such a almost insurmountable problem to deal with. Do you guys think that's something they can even do?
Shotki's played a healer in the past. He's played Resto Shaman. They were looking at him right now. I believe he plays Enhancement Shaman and Resto Shaman as well. So he's just a master of the Shaman, a master of the elements, as role players would say. So I definitely trust in his ability to heal his team. Unfortunately, since he only plays a Shaman, it limits their options. And in this first blind pick format where we don't know what they're going to play, you can kind of predict it as your opponent. Panda Global going into this series kind of says, well, they have Shotki, he's a Shaman, so whatever else, we'll just deal with the Shaman. And I feel like it's going to be really stressful for him. We're going to be looking to see if he can deal with that pressure.
Yeah, coming into BlizzCon, I actually have to say this is probably one of the sadder stories so far. Of course, Coding, like you mentioned, they only actually found out a week ago that he wasn't going to be able to compete. So they've had to kind of instantly have Shotki. Like you say, he has played the Shaman before, but he had to re-roll to it a little bit, picking up that restoration spec. And these guys all have full-time jobs. I think they gave us the list. They were like, one of them's a Japanese chef, the other one owns a jewelry shop, the other one's a web programmer. It's like, these are all full-time positions. So juggling that, plus having to deal with this change with 1 week to go, it's kind of like the Method story we saw in Europe, where like this big, unfortunate meta shift to the team happens last second, and we'll have to see how they can kind of adapt and make the best out of this situation.
Yeah, and of course they will be facing off against Panda Global. Now, Panda Global, also a team that has been through a little bit of a change because they were previously known as Northern Black. If you watch the Americas Regionals, you saw them playing there. They've moved on and now become Panda Global instead, and got a new sponsor essentially. But you do know these guys, I promise. Rubcub, Wealthy Man, Jax, CMG, these guys have been around on online tournaments a ton, but I don't think a lot of them, with the possible exception of Wealthy Man, really have a ton of in-person experience. But there's Wealthy Man right there. Like, he was last year part of team Cloud9, which was one of the only 3-player in fact, I think the only 3-player roster team last year. He was playing alongside Cubsy and Roasties, and that was the team that just impressed everybody. They had one composition, but they played it so incredibly well, and a big part of that was because of Wealthy Man, because he just plays Mage so incredibly smoothly. He knows the ins and outs of the entire spec. Do you guys think we're going to see him, I would assume we're going to see him playing that Mage here. Do you think he has anything else up his sleeve that he might want to pull out, or is he going to stick primarily to that Mage?
Yeah, so I think, of course, we can see on the screen he was kind of voted the MVP of the Americas Regionals. So I think more than likely we're expecting to see him. We got to talk to the Panda Global a little bit earlier as well, and they just seem so confident in their 2 compositions. Of course, we saw their Rogue Mage, and the Shadow Play would be the other one, and both of those, of course, they revolve around Rubcub on the Holy Paladin. This meta suits him perfectly with Paladins, as we saw in the previous series. Definitely one of the stronger healer picks right now, and Wealthy Man, just such a phenomenally good Frost Mage, and I think if they really do believe in those 2 compositions, it can just be such a powerful tool, and it could be enough to see them through not only this series, but all the way to the finals, I think.
Yeah, so I'm going to put you guys on the spot and ask you some predictions here. Sid, we'll start with you. Who do you think is going to take this series?
Oh man, you're putting me on the spot. In this situation, I have to give it to Panda Global. They've got the experience. They've got all 4 of their players. Longzhu Gaming is going to be subbing in Shotki as a healer. I feel they're at such a huge disadvantage being down a man. I'm going to give it to Panda Global, but Longzhu Gaming, I'm not going to count them completely out.
No, sure. They have been putting a ton of practice into trying to overcome the significant disadvantage that's been put against them. Adrian, how are you feeling? Are you thinking Panda Global as well?
Yeah, I have to agree. I have to go with Panda Global on this one as well. Firstly, because of the disadvantages that Longzhu face, but also the fact that Panda Global, they're driven. They're really driven. The fact that Northern Gaming just won that last series, the winner of this series meets Northern Gaming in the next one. And I was talking to them, they want to beat Northern Gaming so much. A little bit of that kind of rivalry with the sponsorships, how it's all worked out. They just seem so motivated to me. And that's the reason that I think they'll not only take this series, but they're going to have a great initiative going into the next.
All right, so we got 2 for Panda Global up here. Rich is standing by. Rich, are you feeling the Panda Global hype wave on this series?
Josh, ultimately, I'm going to have to jump on the Americas bandwagon. I think Panda will be able to take this series, but I think I'll be joining a lot of the people at home by cheering for Longzhu. Such an interesting team, especially being the underdog here without coding. But I think they've been doing it very smart. They're only been practicing one comp throughout the entire time that they're here, trying to make sure that's as good as it could possibly be. And also, they really do care about it. When we asked them a little bit earlier on in the day what they do besides play WoW, they looked at us with a straight face, and Josh, they said WoW is everything.
Yeah, that was actually an amazing moment, like, because we obviously had a translator for that entire time, but they actually just blurted out in English. As soon as the translator started talking to them, they were just like, WoW is everything.
It was the
like
only
straight face.
thing
Yeah,
said, yeah,
completely straight face. So these guys, they really know what they're doing. I'm going to have to, my heart is with Longzhu here. I really want to see them do well, but my head is saying it's probably going to be Panda Global that ends up taking this thing. But we will find out. We are going to be getting into this first game here very, very shortly. Now remember, the first game of the series is always a blind pick. So neither team really knows exactly what to expect in terms of compositions, but it will always be on the Grand Arena, so they at least know the map. Do you think we might see any weird blind pick shenanigans happening here?
I mean, that's the great thing about the Asian teams, right? You never entirely know. BlizzCon is the one opportunity you get to see if they do bring anything out. Like Richard said, though, most people did expect him to just be practicing this one comp. We haven't seen them play anything else just yet, so it would be really surprising if they have something else prepared.
Yeah, I really don't expect to see any surprises from Panda Global, but as you're saying, Longzhu Gaming, we don't really have a lot of info on what they might be holding for secret compositions, any secret strategy, so it's really cool to see them play here in this second series of the day. We are currently in Group A as we jump into the match.
Yep, the game is about to get underway here, so we have on the left side Longzhu Gaming. That's going to be Shotgi on the Resto Shaman, Ship It on the Warrior, and Vitdubu on the Mage. Right side of the screen is going to be Panda Global. That's Rubcub on Holy Paladin, Jax on the Assassination Rogue, and Wealthy Man playing Mage.
Ooh, crazy start on Ship It. They've already got him down to half HP just in a sap. Now the Dragon's Breath on the Shotki, they're just looking to take the game. Ship It down to 5%. Spirit Link barely comes out in time. Out from Shotki, they're going to stun him up. Rubcub caught into a sheep. They're trying to turn it around onto Wealthy Man. They've got him down to half HP. Ship It going in for the kill. Temporal Shield will deflect that. Can Vitdubu get that Temporal off? Not able to. He heals back to full. Ship It still under pressure. Shotki trying to recover from this early aggression from Panda Global.
Yeah, but somehow Ship It didn't actually use any of his defensive cooldowns. He still has the power, he still has the commanding shout available. Here comes the CC though, Kidney instantly triggered it. They're able to deny the cross CC coming out from Wealthy Man. No sheep to follow up, but still so much damage. There's no Spirit Link available. Ship It's in a lot of trouble. He's just managed to get some heals, but I'm not sure where the counter pressure is going to come from for this team.
Nice trade out from Ship It there. He sees his healer caught in CC. He's not able to save him, so he uses his personal cooldown, Die by the Sword, to deflect Jax's attacks, but that Die by the Sword is now over. He's in a lot of trouble. Shotki needs to get some heals. They drop the Counter-Strike totem. It looks like Jax is kind of ignoring it, finally killing that off. The double stuns come out from Panda Global. They're looking to take game number 1. Sheep to follow it up onto Shotki. Dragon's Breath out from Vitdubu, but that's the last thing to keep him alive. Ship It at 5% HP. Will he be able to hang in there? He's trying to hold on to everything. Double Shockwave out from Ship It. Shotki with the move casting heals, barely keeping him in this game. Shotki pulling off miracles right now.
Yeah, and Vitdubu is playing so well as well. He's able to keep the control on Rubcub. They just need to connect the damage onto Jax. He uses that evasion. That's actually his last defensive cooldown. So Jax running a little bit low on fumes, but at the same time, Ship It hasn't been topped in such a long time. Shotki really needs to get some work done, and he's really struggling. He's off the sheep there, able to cast out that heal. That's going to provide a little bit of reduction on the damage coming in, but at the same time, this next sheep could be game. There's the Hodge. Can they follow up the polymorph? A beautiful poly from Vitdubu, though, able to deny that CC chain.
Yeah, but Ship It is still locked down. If they get any CC on Shotki, it could just be the end of the match. Vitdubu gets a polymorph on Rubcub. They're trying to make a turnaround on Jax, but they just don't have the damage to do it. Vendetta is ticking. Shotki's caught in a sheep. There's nothing left. Ship It heroic leaps to safety, but he's forced to charge back in with no cooldowns remaining. Panda Global claim victory on the Grand Arena.
Yeah, it was kind of a one-sided game. At the same time, I thought that Avenger, of course, Avenger is the other known name for this mage on Longzhu. I thought he did such a good job of denying Wealthy Man a lot of the CCs he wanted, but they just couldn't generate any counter pressure. The Fire Mage and the Warrior just not doing enough damage to get through the heals from Rubcub.
Yeah, again, we know that Shotkey is not really that familiar with this spec. It's one that he's just sort of picked up because he wasn't planning on playing healer in this particular tournament. But wow, what a great play. Even though obviously they ended up losing there, the fact that he was able to keep Ship It alive for so long with no health whatsoever. Ship It was so low for so long. Shotkey still keeping him alive. They lost that first game, but they're obviously here to play.
Yep. I really like Rubcub's personality and his play style. He's really aggressive, he's really loud, he plays with his team, and we could see it in that last match. Rubcub was always right beside Jax. It was almost like he was playing Ret Pal. He was just attacking beside him the whole game, said, you want to stun? Okay, let's go stun. He's playing really aggressive with his team. I think it plays really well with the composition that they're running, and they're able to just snag such an early kill because of it. Definitely Rubcub playing very well in game number 1, and really it's up to Shotkey and Ship It. Do they feel confident with this matchup? It feels like the Warriors just so squishy against this damage. Every time the stuns come up, he's at 10% health instantly, just not able to turn anything around. I really feel if they have any options, this would be the time to do it.
But talking about MVP Wealthy Man, he did double the damage coming out of Vitubu in that game. He did 6.5 million damage compared to only 3.5 on the side of Vitubu. That is a number that you cannot overlook. That's double the damage coming out from him.
When does Wealthy Man not double the damage of the person he's playing against?
That's the thing, though. How do you deal with that?
Yeah. We're actually going to check in with Rich real quick and get his thoughts on that last game. Rich, what do you got for us?
Josh, I was actually watching the match over with quite a few of the players and the admins, and before that first Spirit Link came out, like, I was just chatting with everyone, and everyone started screaming really quickly, looked at the screen. The Link did come down, though, but as it went down, I ran over to the stage. I wanted to see what was going on, and Rubcub just screaming kill. He is so loud, and it's just so much fun to actually get to watch him play in person, and honestly, Josh, he looks like he's on fire.
Yeah, he's definitely a character, and I really love watching him. I love the brief chance that I had to chat with him as well. Great guy. Really glad to see him doing well. We do have a map selection now coming out from Longzhu. They're going to take it to Ashamane's Fall. Do you think that might favor their composition a little bit better? It's very Nagrand-like already.
I mean, I don't feel like they're going to have any advantage on a specific map in this scenario. It feels like Panda Global are playing the safe strategy. Let's go after the Warrior so he can't get any pressure out. He doesn't have very many cooldowns. We can force him defensive. That also forces Vitubu, the mage, to peel instead of do damage. And it really just keeps Longzhu Gaming defensive start to finish. And if they can't ever turn this game around, how are they going to win? They're just surviving. What, hoping that somebody just messes up, really? They're forcing them in a spot where they can't get anything done. I mean, the map pick isn't bad. I think it's an okay map pick, but I'm not sure if it'll change anything if they opt to play the Warrior Mage Shaman again.
Yeah, and like you say, I mean, I certainly do feel like the composition does favor Panda Global if we see the same two comps come out here, but the map's not going to make a big difference just because they're similar types of comps. I mean, both teams have the Fire Mage, both teams have the melee and the healer, so both will advantage and disadvantage from maps in similar ways, so it doesn't really matter which map choice we see coming out. Of course, we aren't surprised to see the same composition from Panda Global. We're expecting, unless there's some kind of wild card decisions on the side of the Korean team, that it'll be the same over there. And honestly, when you have people like Rubcub who just come across so motivated, I mean, this is his first BlizzCon ever, and he looks like he owns the stage.
Yeah. Some people might be shy or nervous, not Rubcub.
It's so good. Like, that's such a good personality to have on your team.
All right, so we're going to find out what Longzhu is going to do. I'm kind of expecting we're going to see the same composition again because I don't actually know if they have much else in the way of options. I know that they've been really heavily focusing on that Mage Warrior, and yep, we are going to see Shotkey on the Restoration Shaman, Ship It once again playing the Arms Warrior, and Vitubu on the Fire Mage. So it's going to be the same compositions again, almost exactly the same match that we just saw, because Val'Sharah is so similar to Nagrand Arena. Obviously it has 3 pillars instead of 4, but the distances are very similar to Nagrand, and the overall shape of the arena is very similar as well. Do you think that Longzhu can just come up with something and turn this around?
I think that Vitubu needs to pick some more aggressive honor talents. Right now he's running Temporal Shield, which is great defensively, but they're really not pressuring him. I think that in this position, Kleptomania, which allows him to remove every buff off a target, would be way better. That way when they're pressuring Wealthy Man and he uses his Temporal, he can just take it off. And that's how they're going to create pressure, because if Wealthy Man's always getting Temporals, he's just going to heal to full. There's nothing really to get it. Shotkey's going to be locked down healing too much. I don't think he's going to have time to purge, so maybe Vitubu could take some more offensive talents. I think that could play out well for them.
Yeah, they just need to find a way of doing more damage, right? I mean, they survived pretty well. I actually was really impressed by Vitdubu's play. I thought he played fantastically against Wealthy Man in the kind of mage v mage matchup. He was doing a great job of denying CC chains, and that's how come they were able to get these Spirit Links, how come they were able to get the defensive cooldowns off. But it doesn't matter if they don't have damage at the end of the day.
Looks like an aggressive start from Panda Global onto Schottky, but they don't follow it up with any damage. And now Jax is overextended. Shipit's forcing him back as Rubcub is caught into a sheep. Vitdubu follows it up with another polymorph. Are they going to use the fear? Here's the question. Shipit pops that avatar. Recklessness going to be doing a lot of damage. He charges over to Wealthy Man, gets him down to half. Wealthy Man blinks away. They really want to go onto Schottky. This is an aggressive target choice from Panda Global. Will they be able to stick long enough? Shipit trinkets out to try and support him, trying to force Jax defensive, but Rubcub's in the fight as well. They're not able to get him off of Schottky. Triple Dragon's Breath out from Wealthy Man. Schottky in a bit of trouble here, trades out the Ascendance. He needs to fake the interrupts, but he gets silenced. He's down to 10%. He trades out the Spirit Link for that Vendetta, which will allow him to survive for now, but having used most of his major defensive cooldowns, I don't think he can keep this up much longer.
Yeah, Schottky actually couldn't have played that better. He pre-Astral Shift the kidney shot with the Vendetta, so beautiful plays from him, but it just didn't seem to matter. He dropped to 10% through that, had to pop the Spirit Link, and as you can look at the cooldown bar on Schottky, he has basically nothing left. Caught now into the kidney shot, full sheep onto Vitdubu. There's a lot of damage coming out here. This is the wings from World Cup that is going to expire. Can Schottky get out of this situation? He's in so much trouble. Down to 10%. Sure, he's going to fall. Double Dragon's Breath. Barely able to stay alive. Can he get away in this situation?
Yeah, that Dragon's Breath buys him time for one heal. He jumps across the map. He needs to get the cast. He gets interrupted on the cast. They connect the damage, and Schottky will go down. Panda Global switching up the aggression, staying in the face of Longzhu Gaming and claiming a quick second game on Ashamane's fall. Now map number 3. It's not looking good for Longzhu Gaming.
Yeah, it's really starting to look like the horrible disadvantage that Longzhu ended up with, along with the fact that Panda Global is such a good team, is kind of spelling doom for Longzhu here. They do still have another game that they can try to claw it back into this, but right now Panda Global looking like they are ready to take this series 3-0 even.
Yeah, they're just looking so dominant. And look how happy they are. And one of the things we haven't really talked about too much, but with Jax, he's like such a good analyst of the game. Like he can come up with strategies, and I think this was like one of those. It's like you have a game, maybe like Sid was talking about how people like to change their talents between games once you know the enemy's team's strategy. So why not constantly change up your strategy like this? And they just looked so dominant in this game, even perhaps more so than the first game.
Yeah. So we're going to be finding out here very shortly what map Longzhu would like to go to next. Sid, you were saying earlier that you don't really think that there's any map that really is going to give them much in the way of an advantage with this composition. Where would you go then in this situation? Do you go to like Tolvaron or something? Do you go to something crazy like Blade's Edge? Like where do you actually go?
I don't think Blade's Edge. I think maybe Tigers would be the safest pick. Tolvaron could play well for them as well. It seems like it's hard for them to punish Rubcub or Jax for playing that offensive. As long as they're staying next to each other, they're getting so much healing output. They're never line-of-sighting each other. And they had really good cross CC on Vitdubu. Wealthy Man was always polymorphing Vitdubu whenever they stunned. That way he couldn't save him. And if they have that cross CC, it's going to be so hard to break through. I really feel Vitdubu needs to play, if there is any chance, he needs to play super offensive. Ice block out of CC, trinket immediately, maybe even play adaptation to get out of more stuff to help his team. Pick all the offensive talents as the mage, because he's really not been the target so far, and try and help his team as much as he can is really their only chance. I really feel this is not favored, though, for Longzhu Gaming.
Yeah, I kind of agree. We're also going to check in with Rich again real quick. Rich, what are your thoughts on this situation?
Josh, so earlier, one of the things I did talk about with Longzhu was the fact that they were focusing really on one composition, and it was most likely the right move for them given the current situation with coding. But that really plays into the strength of Jax. Adrian mentioned he's the strategist. He's able to he's the most analytical rogue in North America, potentially the entire world. So if he only has to figure out how to win against one comp, he's going to do it very easily. But Josh, I can assure you that everyone here who is watching is still hoping that Longzhu can take a game.
Yeah, I want to see them win at least a game. Not necessarily the series, but at least a game.
You got your map. I never expected this.
Yeah, I didn't either. That's why I said it was something crazy. But yeah, they've actually decided to go to Blade's Edge, which is crazy. Do you guys have any idea of why they might have chosen that?
When you're 2-0 down, you have to change something up, right?
Jukes.
I think this is
the shaman
the
jukes.
Map. Maybe. Of course, you can jump over the pillar and jump back up with the map.
It's a new talent for Shaman's Gust of Wind. We saw it at the end of that match where Schottky was jumping away. What you can do as a pro move as a shaman on this map is you jump off the bridge to make it look like you're falling, turn your character around, gust of wind back onto the bridge and your opponents fall you off. It's a juke, right? You're juking them off the side. It could be a way that he could save himself. I think that's a clever move. Maybe we see some flashy plays from Longzhu Gaming.
Yep, I mean, the question will be, of course, if Panda Global are going to fall for that.
If they fall for it, yeah.
Like Jax, he's quite a good rogue. I'm not sure if he's going to fall for that, but certainly, like you say, you just need to come up with these little things. You're 2-0 down. The standard is not going to work in this matchup. I would love to see, like, if they have anything else prepared, I'd love to see them just try it. You know, maybe they want to hide it for another series though, because of course, this is kind of maybe the, or if not one of the strongest Rogue Mages in the entire tournament. Rogue Mage is clearly a very difficult matchup for the WMS. Maybe they're thinking of hiding stuff going into future series, because of course they won't be out of it if they lose this one.
Yeah, it looks like they are going to stick with that same composition, going with the Rogue Mage once again. And I think that's a really good call, like you were saying, like, don't give the other opponents that you'll be facing, they have to feel really confident that they're going to win this series. I'm just going to be straight and honest. There is a very small chance that Panda Global does not move off from this series. So it makes absolute sense for them to stick to just that one composition and not give their future opponents any idea of what other comps they might be playing. We're going to see what Longzhu has chosen here, and it is, once again, that same composition, kind of as we were expecting. That's really the only comp that they have available to them, and who can blame them? Like, if you find out a week before you're supposed to play that your healer is not going to be able to make it, and that you all have to practice new classes and practice new specs, you're going to want to try to stick to just one composition, because you only have a week to learn all of it. You don't want to be trying to learn 5 new things. You only want to try to learn 1 new thing. Unfortunately for them, it seems like Panda Global has the exact answer to this composition. So we'll see if Longzhu can at least take a game in this series. We will be getting into this match here very shortly. What are your predictions for this, other than, like, I think it's a safe prediction to say that Panda Global will probably take this. Yep. How do you guys feel? Is it going to go basically the same way as we've seen the previous matches, or do you think we're going to see a little bit different play in this one?
I think we're going to see more of the same. Unless Shockey can pull off some clutch plays, I really want to see those jukes, just for any Shaman players out there that are interested in what it is. I really hope that he does do it. The game is about to start. This is game number 3. Could be match point for Panda Global, as Wealthy Man and Jax go up the center ramp. They're going to be looking for some hyper aggression. Who are they going to go after is the question. Jax is trying to find a target. They sap up Shotkey. Makes me think they want to open on him potentially here. They are going to open up on him with a stun onto Shipit. Shipit trinkets out. He wants to get offensive. He fears the entire team. Nice play from Shipit. They follow up with a sheep onto Wealthy Man. And they get a Hex over onto Rubcub. Good CC up from Longzhu. Can they get any pressure is a question. Doesn't look like they can just yet. Panda Global are going after Shotkey right now. Shotkey jumps down below. He's trying to line of sight with the pillar down here. He needs to avoid being interrupted. Jax lands his kick. Vidubu's polymorphs up Rubcub to try and get pressure on Wealthy Man. They've got him down to about half HP. No temporal shield for about 1 more second. Rubcub trades out some cooldowns to try and get some big heals going. He should be able to top off Wealthy Man. Shotkey's still the target. He's kiting very well so far. Forced to pop that Ascendance, but he gets stunned on it. Vidubu follows up with a peel that doubles Dragon's Breath. Buys Shotkey a couple more seconds to get the Spirit Link down, but it's not enough. Shotkey is playing relentless, so he's not able to trinket out of those stuns to get his Spirit Link down. Panda Global claim a clean 3-0 series against Longzhu Gaming.
Yeah, I really like what Jax did there. In the previous game, of course, he used his Vendetta in the start, baiting out the Astral Shift, so Shotkey expected the same play, but once again, intelligent play by Jax. He was able to hold on to that Vendetta, and that's why he 100-0'd Shotkey so effectively in the kidney into the Hodge, and they even had the Arcane Torrent from the Holy Paladin at the end to feel it off.
Yeah, so that is going to put Panda Gaming taking this series 3-0, like you said. Excuse me, Panda Global. I said earlier that there's 2 Panda teams. Don't get them mixed up, and then I got them mixed up. So apologies for that. Yeah, it's just a ton of Pandas here. And look at this. Look at the sportsmanship coming out of those guys. You were seeing just a second ago. They said, okay, yeah, we won 3-0. But we recognize that a big part of that was the severe disadvantage that team was put at. So they just walked over, shook their hands, said, good game, sorry about your situation, etc. Really, really just impressed with Panda Global right now. Yeah,
it's kind of a bit of both. It's like a little bit of I feel sorry for them, but at the same time, if you're someone like Rubcub who's so competitive, there's plenty of us around there who are competitive, whether it be in WoW or anything in life. You're just so happy when you get that free win. It's a confidence boost. It's your first game on stage. They go into their next series against NG Blue. And one of the great things for Panda Global now is they saw so much from NG Blue. They saw DK Rogue, they saw Shadow, they saw RM Paladin. They have a lot of information to work with, whereas they've only shown one comp, and at that, all they've really shown is how dominant they are at that composition, which, if anything, is a little unnerving for Northern Gaming.
Yep.
Yeah. So we do have Rich down on the stage to actually have a little chat with Rubcub and get his thoughts on how that series went down. Rich, how you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm here with Rubcub, one of the loudest healers in the world and the winner of that last series. Now, you've been playing the Pally and just the Pally. It's really kind of been your focus. Do you feel like you have an advantage now because kind of your main class is one of the strongest in this tournament?
Yeah, I'm definitely really confident in playing Pally. It's like the only healer I play. I've played a few other things, but it's just not as good as Pally, so I'm really confident in it. A lot of other people healer are just ulting Pally, so I feel like I'm definitely have the upper hand.
Yeah, and we actually talked a little bit about your bracket and how you felt about that. Do you want to let everyone at home know just what you think about the rest of your bracket?
I think we have a really good shot. It's everyone thinks EU over NA, but we'll show them wrong today.
Okay, so you think that teams might be sleeping on you just a little bit then?
Of course.
All right, well, you heard it from Rubcub himself. He thinks NA is primed to take it. Back to you, Josh.
All right, thanks so much, Rich and Rubcub. He's definitely feeling a little bit confident there. And because I have Healing Stat next to me, I'm going to go ahead and ask, how are you feeling about this NA versus EU matchup right now? Are you obviously hailing from Europe yourself? How are you feeling about this thing? Do you think he's just all smack right now, or do you think that NA actually has a shot to take this?
I mean, so certainly if people watch the European regionals, you would have seen how happy I was with the 3 teams that qualified. I really do think they are the best of Europe's talent, so I couldn't have been happier with the lineup that's representing Europe. I think this team, though, Panda Global, is the strongest competition for Northern Gaming in the group. I think that's going to be an incredible series. Tempo Storm, we saw, maybe they were a little bit unprepared. I don't think they were quite as well versed in the mirror, but this meta fits Rubcub so well. Like he says, he mains the Paladin. No one else in the tournament does that. He's an aggressive personality, which means this Avenging Crusader basically making you a rep Paladin is so well suited for him as a person, as well as his class, of course. It's a very powerful tool. And normally I would say, and you'll see every time I predict Europe will trump NA just based on history and based on how I see the two metas, but I think this next series, Panda Global versus Northern Gaming, will really define how North America matches up against Europe at BlizzCon this year.
And we're actually going to see a really good North America versus Europe matchup here in the next series that was going to be here on the stream. It's actually going to be Method NA versus Method EU is going to be our next series. So that's going to be pretty exciting. I think we're actually going to take a look at Bracket A real quick, though, and see how Group A has gone so far. Taking a look here, we saw Northern Blue versus Tempo Storm. That was our first series. Northern Blue taking that 3-1. Very close series, though. And then, of course, this last series we just watched was Panda Global going 3-0 against Longzhu Gaming. Again, Longzhu put in such a disadvantage by the fact that their healer was not able to make it. They've done their best to try to recover from that, and they did actually play as well as could be expected in that situation, but Panda Global just going to close that one out 3-0. So congratulations to Panda Global. They'll be moving on. Congratulations to Northern Blue. They'll be moving on as well. But this next series, Method NA versus Method EU, I'm excited for it. I can't wait to watch it. I'm going to go take a little bit of a break. I'll be back a bit later today, but we're going to take a quick cut here to a commercial, and we'll be right back.